victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles!
skip the countdown. Let's go. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 on this Friday of the Sports Senseis with yours truly, Brian Snow, and Drew Willingham, who's got all the locks down this afternoon, and the rocker horns go up. What's up? What's up, Sensei Drew? How are you?
Letting it flow today. It is Friday, Snowman, one of the great days of the week for myself, as I'm excited to be here with my man, the Snowman.
Hey, we're excited to have you, my man. We are excited to have you. Let's get into it. The NFL schedules are out. Predictions all over the place. And I want a prediction from you for your beloved Washington Redskins. Talk to me. What do you see?
Well, we've got a pretty interesting season ahead for the commies, as I like to call them.
Right.
Of course, you do refer to them as the formerly known as the Redskins with the Redskins name, but I like to call them the former name.
Right.
We've got some pretty good matchups. The one that I'm really excited about is the Thanksgiving Day contest between them and the Cowgirls.
The Dallas
as we can definitely
Cowboys.
call
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to be. It's been a little while since we can really say that we've had this rivalry going on for that day, and we've definitely got that going on. Play your beloved Bears at home on October 5th. Now, that will definitely be an interesting one, as
It's going to be a fun one.
We got Justin Fields, who at this point in his career and the moves they've made, they got DJ Moore from Carolina this offseason. It's going to be interesting to see how that offense comes about. If they can keep Fields healthy and if they can actually make the right moves on the offensive play calling, you might see something special out of the Bears this season.
I'd love for that to happen. But the thing is, up front is where it starts, and that's the offensive line. They drafted an offensive line in the first round, and that's good. But you got 4 of the pieces to fill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the preseason, is definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how the preseason pans out, because with the Ravens, they play when starting out the preseason, and then when they start the season out itself, the first game of the season, they have to play the Cardinals, which, with everything that's been going on with the Cardinals this past season, and if Kyler Duty can, I call him Kyler Duty because if Kyler Murray can get off of Call of Duty,
I love it. I love it.
If he can get off of Call of Duty and get ready to play some football, maybe the Cardinals will be something, but I got a feeling that first game of the year, the Commanders are going to take the win on that one.
Yeah, I feel that too. I absolutely feel that. Want to mention this? Parts of today's show is brought to you by B University. Change the conversation about mental health one story at a time. Go to bdaringfoundation.org and become a member starting today. And that's the Be Daring Foundation. Thanks to Michelle DeMuria, one of the first guests on the Brian Snow Shows, who made that partnership happen. Talking football with Sensei Drew as we just get started here on the Sports Senseis. And what's your record prediction for your Redskins or your Commanders? I know they're called the Commanders, but you know how I feel. What is your record prediction, and do they clinch a playoff berth?
This year's schedule is a little bit tougher than last. When you look at it, I mean, if you were to look at the overall team in the actual division, or two teams that have the tougher schedule because of the way that the matchups coexist, I would say it would be either the Eagles or the Cowboys. The Commanders are not that far behind, and when it comes to the first few games, I got them winning against the Cardinals, got them winning against the Broncos. They're going to lose at home to the Bills, unfortunately. I feel like they're going to lose the following week to the Eagles. I feel like they're going to go they're going to go undefeated for the first 2 and then lose the next 2.
Mhm.
Your Bears are going to be the big question mark, which I feel like they can probably pick up the victory there. But
Yeah, I
mean,
see it.
that's gonna be week 5, so there's still anything can happen with that early in the season.
Mhm.
With the Falcons, I feel like they're gonna win that one. So you get your 4-2 there. You can beat the Giants the following week, 5-2. Probably pull up an upset victory against the Eagles the following week because you're upset because you're beating the last time is 6-2. Then things start going downhill when you go against the Patriots. I feel
Oh,
like they're gonna
no.
there. The Seahawks are gonna lose there. The Giants again, they're gonna beat. So at that point, you're 7 the Dolphins. If you lose that one, you're 9-5 at that point.
Mhm.
Going against Rams, and following that, you're going to beat them 10-5. Then you got the Jets, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. And this is a tough one to end on, Snowman.
Yeah.
And with that being said, if they lose those final 3 games of the season, they finish the season 10-7. And at that point, if they do that, then they're going to clinch a playoff berth, I feel like.
Yeah, it's
Whether it's the division itself, which
Mhm.
is good at a 10-7, but we have seen some tougher competition to where a 10-7 just isn't quite good enough.
Do
And at
we
that point,
see all 4 teams from the NFC East getting in the playoffs? Because until you guys lost to Cleveland, it was a lock basically that all 4 teams in the NFC East get in the playoffs. So does that happen this year? Does that finally happen?
I think that the way that they put this schedule together this season, I don't think that's going to happen. The way that they
Okay.
put the schedule together for the entire NFC East, because I want it to happen, and I feel like last year was our best chance at it. And
Yeah.
I feel like, and it would have been a groundbreaking historical moment. And at some point, it's going to happen in NFL history. I
Mhm.
just don't know if it's quite going to be the NFC East, but their best chance to get it was last year. Because when I see this schedule, when I see the order of the games to be played, I
Right.
just don't see it happening.
Right.
If it does happen, it's going to be fantastic, and we're going to
Mhm.
see it. And if
Yeah.
that happens, that'll be great, but I don't think it will.
NFL discussion with Sensei Drew. Let's pause for a break, and when we come back, we'll take a peek at the NFC West, and then we also have the XFL Championship on the discussion schedule this afternoon. A preview of the NFC West when you all get back.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
I'm in another lane, I'm a different breed. I'm everything you can never be. I'm next level. Next level.
Thursday nights are wrestling night on CSTV. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific to see all the amazing Next Level Pro Wrestling stars on Thursday Night Throwdown on CSTVNow.com and the CSTV app on your Roku device.
Hey, y'all, Snowman here. Catch me, Cole Johnson, Wise El Jefe, and the usual cast of characters as we bring it to you every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's called Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, and it's right here on CSTV and CSTVNow.com. Join us, won't you?
One of the great things about ordering meals from Mother of Macros is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Click the national or local delivery link to access the menu, and we'll ship the meals right to your door. We understand you won't always have time to plan, shop, prepare, and cook to provide healthy nutrition for your family, so the process is simple and saves you hours. We know you're busy, so our meals are professionally prepared and packaged. You only need to heat them up and enjoy. We provide macro-balanced, delicious meals chock full of fresh, local ingredients with none of the stuff you don't want to eat. Plus, our menu changes every week, keeping your taste buds wanting more. We take care of your meals so you can worry about everything else on your list. Mother of Macros.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception. First down. Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a show where one of the senseis pulled a move that the other sensei has done in the past, where he hit the snooze button, slept through the alarm.
I've slept through so many snooze alarms. It's not even funny.
Well, last night, because I'm working the mid shift stuff now.
Yes.
We ended up having to work till like 3:30 in the morning, and then
Oh boy,
I get home at 4, and you know how it is, Snowman. When you get off work, you can't quite go right to sleep.
no.
You've been moving around all night. The nerves still going. I couldn't get to
You
sleep.
gotta
till like
you gotta
6.
wind
I set
you
the
gotta
alarm
wind down.
for 10:45, so I can make sure I'd be up and moving around a little bit. Next thing I know, it is 12:08. I'm hitting up Snowman. And I'm like, I couldn't even see the link because all I saw was the YouTube link in there. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you just scroll up. So I scroll up, click, and we're here. So so I apologize for those of you waiting out there in the
Oh, you're
chat.
fine.
Thank you for waiting for us.
Hey, listen, you were patient with me when my body was going through changes after surgery. So you getting back to work full time, that's an absolutely wonderful thing.
It's some miraculous stuff in some ways. It's
Mhm.
some hashtag tough SOBs like in our story for our advertisement for today. So that's what I
Yes.
gotta say. And I'm glad to
Yes.
be back out here in these streets.
Hey, we're glad to have you back. I'm gonna make a little change here while I wait for that. Let's talk NFC West.
Okay.
And last year it was all about the 49ers. They won the West going away by 4 games. I thought they'd win by 2 games. Seattle has improved through the draft. Yes, they have. All right, with the players they selected, but they have a huge problem at the running back position because they let their main runner go, who got him 1,000-yard season. And my question to you is, Drew, can anybody in that division challenge the 49ers for NFC West supremacy?
It's going to be tough. When you look at the overall schedule of the league, and even though I feel like the East has it tougher than the
Yes.
actual rest of the league,
Yes.
the Rams are not going to be able to really compete because of the trade they made with Matthew Stafford, a couple
Right.
years ago that crippled that team.
Mm-hmm.
The only team, and what we saw from the Seahawks last year, can Geno Smith do that 2 years in a row?
Right.
And that's probably the only team that I feel like is going to be able to keep up with the 49ers through the midway point of the season.
Mhm.
After that, it's going to be tough to really say what they can do because you gave Geno Smith money and he played well last year. But
Mhm.
usually when these players have these one great years, it's right around time for a new contract.
Right.
For something, and when you sign them, then they go downhill. That's the biggest question mark, because the Cardinals have been a mess for a couple of years now, and especially with Kyler Duty, with what he's
Yeah.
doing out here in one of his off time, not studying the playbook, but he's studying his controller motions on how to get better with playing the video game. I feel like that the Seahawks are your only real competition in the division, and at that point, I don't think that that's going to be enough to get it done. The 49ers are going to win the division again this season.
I believe they're going to win the division, and they're going to win it going away again, because I do not see a team in the NFC West challenging them. And I'll say it again. Seattle did great in the draft, but the 49ers had needs to fill on the offensive line. And I remember John Lynch saying during one of his press conferences, we're not going to draft an offensive lineman just because we needed to draft one. So what they did, they dipped into the undrafted free agency market, and they got 4 offensive linemen, that are going to be rookies this year, but they're going to be inserted. Trust me, they're going to get their time. I mean, they got some monsters on the offensive line, man.
And the Seahawks do have a little bit of a rough schedule starting out. I mean, the first game of the year, they're playing the Rams, and if they improved any this offseason, which I don't really see it based on the moves they made enough to beat the Seahawks, I feel like the Seahawks are going to win that first one. The second one is going to be what sets the tune. It sets the tone for their first start of the season when they play the Lions in Detroit, because the Lions have been on the come up the past few seasons. The trade worked out great for the Rams for that first season. It's a good thing they cashed and they got the Super Bowl then, because it doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon.
No.
Lions definitely seem to be the winners of the other side of that trade for those 2 quarterbacks and picks.
I'm looking at the undrafted free agents for San Francisco, and they picked up 3 big offensive linemen. Joey Fisher, 6'4", 296 out of Shepherd, and I've seen his film, and this man can play. He can easily be inserted on the right side where Mike McGlinchey left in free agency. He's now with Denver. The Corey Luciano out of Washington, 6'4", 307, a monster in the middle. So I'm thinking he's going to be he's going to be one of the right guards, and they needed depth on the offensive line, especially after they lost McGlinchey in free agency. But the fellow I'm looking at that's I believe is going to really stick with San Francisco, I think they all are, but I'm looking at Ilm Manning, 6'2", 294 out of Hawaii. Undersized if you look at him at 6'2". Mike McGlinchey was 6'6". But 6'2", 294 out of Hawaii. There's another fellow out of Hawaii who played with San Francisco and mastered 3 different positions on the offensive line and became an all-pro at 3 different positions on the offensive line. His name is Jesse Sapolu. And I'm looking at Ilm Manning's footage, and I'm trying to see him in full. I'm looking at situations with him in full games. He could really be the Jesse Sapolu of the 49ers, and I believe he can start immediately.
Yeah, definitely shows a lot of talent to where there's a lot of potential for him in the future. This is going to be a question of if he taps into that potential and actually makes it to where he can be a superstar in this league.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. The Eagles, we know what they did in the draft. I mean, you were with me the night that I did my draft coverage, and I had to tap out at 11 o'clock because I had to get up at 8 and do and do the morning show, and we recap the draft. You were with us on that ride. Man, the Eagles just stole the draft in the first round that night.
Jalen Carter, absolutely. With him supposed to be the number 1 pick until that that accident back in the beginning of the year happened to make him slip down, 9 spots. But he was supposed to go number 1 overall and probably would have gone to your Bears.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have made that trade with Carolina. But when that stuff happens, it's a big question mark at that time when they made the trade. I don't think Jalen Carter's court proceedings have been finalized yet and everything.
Right.
Now that's in the rear view. He's good to go, but the trade had been made, and the Eagles, who almost won the Super Bowl last year, may have just gotten the piece they need to get over the hump for this season.
Yeah. They made the trade. They got the pieces they need, but there's one piece that left the Eagles and went to San Francisco. That's Javon Hargrave.
Yep.
To seal up the right side. It's always been since D Ford left San Francisco, and they were thin at the linebacking position because Quan Alexander left and went to New Orleans. Boy, John Lynch is a genius because he knew he had to fill the right side of that defensive line. And then you bring in Javon Hargrave with a 4-year deal. You know how much younger and stronger the Niners defensive line just got? And then with Steve Wilkes, who they basically stole from Carolina, man.
It depends,
if there's one team that can challenge the Eagles when they're fully healthy, and I want to put that caveat in there because we've dealt with a litany of injuries the last 3 years. If they stay completely healthy, if there's one team that can challenge the Eagles for that top spot, it's San Francisco.
There's been something that I've want to bring up with you for weeks now, and I forgot to do it last week because last week was our return episode, and the emotions were flowing and all that stuff for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I was feeling pretty good with all that. I forgot to ask you this last week, but we didn't get to it because we weren't really talking much NFL last week.
Go for it.
Sam Darnold, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There have been reports coming out supposedly from San Francisco of this guy has got the best arm of all quarterbacks in the franchise of the San Francisco 49ers. And I know that when you saw it or read this article, that you were thinking, not better than Joe Montana, not better than Steve Young. So how in the blue hell are we talking about Sam Darnold being the best arm of all quarterbacks in San Francisco 49er history? Please drug test the man who wrote that article. How do you feel about that article, Snowman?
I will tell you exactly why 49er fans and 49er pundits, and I've had the chance to talk to quite a few of them, feel this way. Who were Sam Darnold's first two coaches?
Didn't he wasn't Rivera there when he got drafted?
Mm-hmm.
And so Rivera, and then what's his name? Matt Rule.
You have a very huge difference in coaching philosophy. Yeah. And the other thing with Sam Darnold, unlike USC, unlike the Jets, and especially unlike Carolina, thank you, Jay Spivey, Sam Darnold has got something he has never had: weapons, and lots of them. I mean, imagine if Sam Darnold starts the year, and I'm thinking he will, to allow Purdy more time to recover from his injury, if Purdy plays at all this year, even though there are reports saying he's on track to come back. Imagine Sam Darnold hooking up with George Kittle. I mean, Darnold has not had a fair chance to show what he can do on offense. He hasn't.
Why have you given up on Trey Lance already?
Because he doesn't have it. Period.
You haven't seen enough of him
Yes, I have.
Really justify that, though.
Oh, yes, I have. I've seen more than enough. From North Dakota State to the 49ers, and it's unfortunate that Trey Lance is dealing with an injury and he's trying to bounce back from it. But no, I do not feel that he is the future. I mean,
you think Sam Darnold is more of a future than Trey Lance? I know you're still high on Brock Purdy, and he gets the golden chair when he comes back. But you are more high on Sam Darnold than you are on Trey Lance, who's already been in the system.
Wouldn't you trust him before you trust Trey Lance? Because I've already seen what Trey Lance can do, and unfortunately, and this is coming from a 49er fan and insider, it ain't much.
I think he had with the New York Jets.
He had a show in terms of Trey Lance. He had a showcase game at North Dakota State, and he threw 2 interceptions. That should tell you what you need to know right there. I mean, love the kid, love what he can do, but when you put him in a spotlight situation, and he had the spotlight situation with the Bears. Now, even though Soldier Field was a mud pit by the time the third and fourth quarter happened, and part of this I blame on Kyle Shanahan for getting for relying on Trey Lance's arm, and part of that you can see what he wants to do with Trey Lance should he be given the chance again, but I don't think Trey Lance has it. And this is coming from a guy that has watched Trey Lance. I don't think he has it at all.
I wouldn't say that he doesn't have it at all quite yet. I feel like he needs a little bit more time. He's only 23.
Right.
Sam Darnold was with the Jets. Then he goes to Carolina. Of course, he kind of had a little bit more of a resurgence in his career at Carolina, but it wasn't by much because it wasn't like Carolina took off with, and was playing fantastic football overall because they still had the 9th overall pick this season. They were still the 9th worst team in the NFL last year. Okay. So they improved a little bit, but maybe because of his skill sets that kind of match up with Kyle Shanahan's offense of what he throws and then the weapons that he does have around him, I'll give you that. But I feel like, one, with the amount of money that you gave Trey Lance, two, with the hype, he deserves a chance to at least showcase if he still has it or has something to offer to this team.
Contract. It's a rookie contract, and yes, the full intent was for Trey Lance to be the starter over Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. But two things happened. Well, three. One, Trey Lance got injured, and it's so unfortunate. I wish no injury on anyone. All right. One, Trey Lance got injured. So, yes, we have not seen the full Trey Lance package in that offense. Give you that.
He was the 3rd overall pick, though, and he's getting paid pretty good as a 3rd overall pick.
Here's two other things that happened. Two, Jimmy Garoppolo played well until he got injured. And three, we saw the emergence of a quarterback that was deemed irrelevant, Mr. Irrelevant to be exact. And as soon as he got in the offense, all hell broke loose. Or should I say all weapons broke loose, because Brock Purdy rediscovered the power of George the Animal Kittle. In the last 4 games with Brock Purdy, 5 games rather, in the last 5 games with Brock Purdy as a starter, George Kittle caught 7 touchdown passes. In 5 games. And then you see the mobility of Brock Purdy getting out of the pocket, scrambling to his left, scrambling to his right. The one play that told me Brock Purdy is the starter and is the franchise quarterback for San Francisco, I want you to go back to a Thursday night game they played against Seattle. In the first quarter, he faked a throw to Ray McLeod, faked a throw to Christian McCaffrey, and found George Kittle wide open over the middle. 2 fake tosses. I've only seen Montana and Young do that. Do we know if Lance can do it? No. He's got to come all the way back from injury. But that play call right there and the way they executed it told me Brock Purdy is going to be the franchise quarterback for a long time. He just has to get healthy and stay healthy. And something John Lynch said also. Yes, Trey Lance has the potential to be a starting quarterback, but Brock Purdy's already did it.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy has swiped that position and made it his. And I think Brock Purdy is going to be the man in Frisco for at least 10 years, especially with George Kittle getting older, Christian McCaffrey getting older. They're going to bring in some younger receivers. They already have a dynamic duo with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. All right. And I know Cincinnati Bengal fans, and I know quite a few of them hate Brandon Ayuk for the game winner a couple of years ago. And a lot of people call Brandon Ayuk a bust after 2020 or parts of 21 when he wasn't getting the targets that he got in 2020. But you got to remember, Deebo Samuel was healthy, George Kittle was healthy, and they had weapons coming out of the backfield. Let's take a break. When we come back, we got more predictions coming up. And with my beautiful wife in my ear pushing the buttons, we will go to the capital city of Indiana and talk about the Indianapolis Colts and how they can get better. Back after this.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
I'm in another league. I'm a different breed. I'm everything you can never be. I'm next level. Next level.
Thursday nights are wrestling night on CSTV. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific to see all the amazing Next Level Pro Wrestling stars on Thursday Night Throwdown on CSTVNow.com and the CSTV app on your Roku device.
Hey, y'all, Snowman here. Catch me, Cole Johnson, Wise El Jefe, and the usual cast of characters as we bring it to you every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's called Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, and it's right here on CSTV and CSTVNow.com. Join us, won't you?
One of the great things about ordering meals from Mother of Macros is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Click the national or local delivery link to access the menu, and we'll ship the meals right to your door. We understand you won't always have time to plan, shop, prepare, and cook to provide healthy nutrition for your family, so the process is simple and saves you hours. We know you're busy, so our meals are professionally prepared and packaged. You only need to heat them up and enjoy. We provide macro-balanced, delicious meals chock full of fresh, local ingredients with none of the stuff you don't want to eat. Plus, our menu changes every week, keeping your taste buds wanting more. We take care of your meals so you can worry about everything else on your list. Mother of Macros.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception. First down. Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extra berth. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a show that has just as many commercials as a Hulu free account. The Senseis Unleashed.
We are indeed unleashed. Third quarter talks about the Indianapolis Colts, and our executive producer, Cole Johnson, our in-studio producer, the lovely Miss Jody Snow, who is back on her feet after being ill for a few days. All right, I'm looking at the Colts schedule. They open September 10th against the AFC South champion in Jacksonville. So with them drafting Anthony Richardson, and I may change my tune about Anthony Richardson as soon as I got to see him play in a professional setting. They need a franchise quarterback. They haven't had one since Andrew Luck walked away. And so they go after Anthony Richardson. Let me first of all get your thoughts on the Colts drafting Anthony Richardson to essentially be their franchise quarterback.
I think for the future is a good move. I don't think that they should throw him into the fire to start out the season.
All right.
Because it's not like he was the number one quarterback, in all the hype of all the quarterbacks for this offseason. It wasn't like, in my opinion, he wasn't the best quarterback of the entire draft.
Mhm.
He's the best for the best fit for the Colts, though, with what they're trying to do.
And that's
with the changes
that's exactly what Matt Taylor said. For those of you who caught the conversation yesterday between Matt and myself, Matt Taylor, the fabulous voice of the Indianapolis Colts, will join us. He will join us each week to talk Colts. He said the same thing.
Join Snowman in the morning each week to talk Colts.
Yeah,
nice.
He's gonna join Snowman Multimedia each week to talk Colts. The same way I had Mick Mixon on, as you know, from the Panthers. Joining the show. So we got that. It's just going to depend on the schedule. He said the same thing about Anthony Richardson, and he's excited to see what he can do in this Colts offense led by Shane Steichen. And there is the comparison where everyone's making. Shane Steichen helped Jalen Hurts. He can help Anthony Richardson. And when he was drafted that night, I went, what? Because as you said, he was not the best quarterback in the draft. Those two were already gone in Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. You still had Max Duggan on the board. You still had Stetson Bennett on the board. And I thought one of them would go earlier because they competed for the national championship. But be that as it may, Richardson is now a Colt. He's going to be thrown in. I believe he's going to be thrown in right in the fire the same way Andrew Luck was and the same way Peyton Manning was. Snap one, day one belongs to Anthony Richardson unless an injury happens or he is not able to grasp the system that Shane Steichen is installing.
So you are against what all of us are telling you to not throw him in the fire and to start in week 1.
Man, throw him in. See what happens. Because you got another young quarterback and Sam Erlinger out of Texas with them.
Sam Erlinger?
Different coach. He's got a different coach now.
Terrible last year.
Well, look who was coaching him.
Yeah, but at least
think about it.
At least Chef Saturday got like a win or two.
You just said it in the last part of your sentence. A win or two. You just said that in the last part of your sentence. Remember, Drew said it, not me. All right. Find the lie. Who's coaching them? Right?
No, man.
And then the other thing is Jonathan Taylor has got to get healthy because Taylor is going to be a huge, huge part of this Indianapolis offense. I mean, you're talking about a running back that set a team record and B was the rushing champion in 2021. And 2020 was the last time the Colts were in the playoffs. 21, they had not one but 2 shots to clinch a berth. All they needed to do was beat the Raiders at home and beat the Jaguars or beat the Jaguars on the road, and did neither.
I don't know, Snowman. Sometimes I don't feel like it's on this occasion, but sometimes you say stuff to get a rise out of people.
I speak the truth.
Going to start having success in week 1.
I speak the truth. Throw them in and see what happens. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of all I'm saying, we wrap up with the
some point in 2023 with this one.
Yeah, true. True. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
I mean, I looked at my wife, and Jody's giggling in my ear right now. You know, she's on the other side. She's on the other side of the table, saying, "Don't tell him this." But I have to. When we did the draft coverage, and you rode shotgun with us, and the Colts selected Anthony Richardson, everybody saw the surprised look on my face, and then I went in and I talked to Jody, I went to bed. I talked to Jody before I fell asleep. I said, the Colts drafted Anthony Richardson. And she goes, okay. And goes, next day she goes to work, comes back. I mean, we go to bed again. And I said, baby, your thoughts on the Colts drafting Anthony Richardson? She says, you really want my thoughts? I said, yes. 2 seconds later. and she says the same thing that everyone else says, myself included. I'll believe it when I see it. So if you want to see it, throw him in.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. If you want to see what your future franchise quarterback can do, throw him in. You
I feel
throw
like
him
Jordan
in.
Love's going to have
now.
more success in Green Bay than he will have in Indianapolis.
I don't think
even though Jordan Love has been there for a few seasons. My point is he had chance to sit behind not only a legend to the NFL quarterbacking, but an actual great talent who, as Jordan has said during this offseason, has helped him out tremendously. Aaron Rodgers did more for Jordan Love than Brett Favre did for Aaron Rodgers. Okay,
that's true.
As far as helping him acclimate himself to the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see how someone like Anthony Richardson does without that, because your previously mentioned quarterback, Sam Erlinger, it hasn't been in the league long enough to be able to do that for Anthony Richardson, because he's still trying to figure it out himself. Because what did he have there when he got there?
True.
He had Carson Wentz and then the year before that, who did he have? Trouble is what he had, Snowman.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of trouble in Indianapolis for Sammy.
Yeah, true. That's all true. That is all true. I offer no argument. To that. But at the same time, I'm old school. If you draft someone that's going to be your franchise quarterback, throw them in.
Snowman, we've done a lot of talking of NFL schedule, which was definitely we definitely knew it was coming. But we do have some football this season, and I'm not going to say the USFL, but we have a championship game this weekend. What are your thoughts on these two teams that are matching up for this XFL championship?
Well, for one, I didn't know that the Arlington Renegades were going to get hot at the right time, and they are hot at the right time, because I didn't expect them to beat Houston in Houston, but the defense of the Renegades really showed up. They really showed up 2 weeks ago.
They did. A 4-6 team made it to the XFL Championship. That kind of goes to show you how the strength of the North Division was over the South, because when you have the team in the DC Defenders making it to the actual championship with only one loss this season, and then you're facing a team that's 4-6 and a team in the St. Louis Battlehawks, I think they only had 3 losses this year.
They were 7-3.
Yeah, you're 7-3, and you don't even make the playoffs, and you're watching a 4-6 team from the other division play a team that you should have been playing in the previous championship game 2 weeks ago. Okay. I felt like they deserved to be there more than the Seattle Sea Dragons.
Yeah, I thought that also.
Because they would have been better competition for them.
And it shows the flaw of the playoff selection. Because there was no way the Arlington Renegades at 4-6 should have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, because
I understand the division, but if you really want to do this right, eliminate the divisions.
Yeah.
That's how you solve that. You eliminate the division because you got 8 teams. You take the top 4 and you put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and when you have the Sea Dragons, the Dragons, Sea Dragons, whatever you want to call them, when it comes to, because they changed their name from the previous rendition of the XFL. When you have them play the way that they did, there was no game for that championship game. It was all DC Defenders all game long.
And the
St. Louis Battlehawks,
they blew the doors off of Audi Field.
Yeah,
and off that joint.
If there would have been a matchup between the Battlehawks and the Defenders, it would have came down to the last possession, because how close those games were during the season. Of course, the Defenders would eventually go on to win those games by like more than a touchdown or 2 touchdowns or so. But throughout the course of those 2 games, it was close. And St. Louis almost gave them their
all the way through
defeat.
nip and tuck. It was nip and tuck all the way through with both games.
Yeah,
And
there was
that would've
one
been-
game. There was one game where the defenders only won by 1 point. I remember that.
Right.
It was like
Right.
35-34 or something like that, or I can't remember the exact score. I just know it was
34-33 over Seattle in Seattle.
I was close, but I knew it was in the 30s and it was a 1 point game. But
Yeah.
when you see these contests like this, I feel like we were gypped in the championship game, and of course,
I believe so.
Of course, there's not as much viewing for the XFL as there is the NFL, but I love football.
Yes.
And I love football, but I haven't loved it enough to get into the USFL games because the USFL games have been a joke. But the XFL, that's why I compare it to the AEW of professional wrestling, because it is AEW's to WWE NFL.
It is. It really
now, with
is.
that being said, how do you feel this contest is going to go this Saturday night?
One beer snake for another. There's going to be about 40,000 fans there. I'm predicting 40,000. And the beer snake is going to find its way to San Antonio, Texas, and the trophies are going to come home to DC.
It's going to be a lot of beer.
And I will say this aloud, and if I'm wrong, I will hand out receipts gladly. Arlington doesn't have a chance.
I'm with you on that, considering how well the defenders have played this year. If you were to go, because we give NFL prediction scores during the season, how do you feel like this is going to go? Like you said that they're going to decimate them. By how much?
DC 40, Arlington 21. That is how confident I am in your beloved defenders. 40 points. I say they score 40 points.
You know, there's not many times where I will agree with a call where you're basically calling a blowout like that. But in this case, I feel like you have to, because even though Arlington kind of blew out Houston 2 weeks ago, and we didn't see that coming.
Right.
Because I was not predicting that.
Right.
I'm with Snowman on this, but I'm going to go a little bit lower of a score. I was going to say 36-18 when I gave my prediction.
Yeah.
It was still kind of a blowout from what you're calling, but I feel like both teams are going to score a little bit less, and at a certain point, they're going to take the foot off the gas with the DC defenders, because they're going to realize that this team cannot match up to their skill sets.
Yeah. I believe that. That's our view of the XFL Championship. What is yours? Today's program brought to you by the Be Daring Foundation, eradicating the stigma surrounding mental health for college students, first responders, athletes, and you. If you're dealing with a mental health issue, give a visit to BeDaringFoundation.org. That's BEE, DaringFoundation.org. And also, you can join B University, change the conversation about mental health one story at a time. If you become a sponsor, yours truly will help you launch a podcast to get your feelings out there. For Sensei Drew, please be daring. Visit SnowmanMultimediaSports.com for all of our sponsors, and LegacyMakerSports.com for all of their sponsors. It's a team effort, and we want to get all of our programs out there to y'all. For Sensei Drew, I'm Brian Snow. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Even though we started late, we end on a great note. And remember, for those of you watching on Snowman Multimedia, at the top of the hour, it's the Brian Snow Show, and it's a special 2-hour program because I'll welcome Mike Debate to talk football and Annie Del Rey to talk stuff we should have known in high school. Her fabulous book. Thanks, y'all. God bless you. We'll see you next Friday.